computer, your unused stapler, and that plant you forgot to water. But maybe it's time to leave your desk and spend your lunch break volunteering with Meals on Wheels.
Doing Meals on Wheels for me is the joy that I look for at the end of my week. I'll come to the door with one meal and I'll walk away with a full heart.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. That's americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. There's a lot of ways to get at us here, a lot of ways to add your 2 cents, chime in, make yourself heard, particularly at this point, not even just during the show, but during the week, as we have made it all the way through another, shorter, but still, I had a mild panic moment. There are certain things we track, certain things we talk about on air, sponsors and things, and I thought, oh my God, I missed a day, because I completely forgot that we had a short week and that we were off Monday, because we've crammed a lot into this short week, so we're good there. Just my mild panic attack aside, but there's a lot that has been going on, a lot that we've certainly gotten to and discussed, but a whole lot more that we didn't even touch on, at least intentionally so. And so that's the purpose behind what we do today. Free for All Friday is what we call it, meaning we're having those phone lines, comments, everything. We want to hear from y'all about the stuff that we didn't get to, that maybe we missed, or that is certainly pressing and maybe outside of our usual scope, again, Monday through Thursday, about the things that are directly affecting us here in the borderland or going on right here, of which there has been quite a lot this week as well. But then also, plenty of stuff that we don't even touch on happening, statewide. A little bit less of a focus there, nationally, internationally, intergalactically. I look at the JWST space telescope stuff sometimes, but in the meantime, y'all got stuff you want to bring up. Today is the day to do it. Just if you're calling in, you better keep it clean. And also, phone lines full up at the moment, even if it's they'll be open throughout all the show here, so just keep that phone number handy, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM, Mondo Moncada over on the socials with the emphatic yo. I get it. I saw the typo go by there with the Talk El Paso, yo. So we appreciate it. I was wondering if I was going to get a Dear John letter from you, the way you're doing it, to Talk El Paso, to it may concern. And certainly we could take those kind of things today. And if you want to chime in over on those avenues, that's certainly a good way to do it. Just like Robbie Flores and Monica Cervantes also dropping those likes and reacts, we do appreciate over on, it's primarily the Facebook. But again, whatever works for you best to be able to see, hear, participate, any combination therein as well. Those are the right places for you to be as we continue all the things we do, like Rick Reyes celebrating the Happy Friday already with the, maybe we should change the song for Friday to 99 Beers on the Wall. Now that'd probably be inviting way too much chaos, but let's just say it sometimes might fit the way that maybe we should take this on. In any case, we'll be focusing on all the stuff that can go. Just a couple of things I want to mention as we get both into the change of the seasons and just some construction season stuff. Okay, happy news. Again, a bunch of things, just quick hits from our news partners at KFOX 14. The La Union Maze is expected to be opening later this month, definitely heralding the, slightly cooler temperatures, maybe. I wouldn't hesitate to fully call it fall for our region, but hey, I'll take it. In less happy news, or in less, political news. It's definitely political. That notice of intent to recall City Rep Cassandra Hernandez, formally filed before City Council today. The decently organized group, I'll say it that way. At the very least, they'll have matching T-shirts, and all focused on District 3. We mentioned that earlier this week that was expected, and so there was a news conference earlier today, spearheaded by previous guest on the show in a different capacity, Irene Amendares Jackson, in this case, focused on that recall effort. So it's there was that news conference, and news partners at KFOX 14 have been a part of it. Did want to include that there was a statement out from City Rep Cassandra Hernandez in response to this. So she said, again, to our news partners at KFOX 14, quote, I've been elected 3 times by District 3 voters who have witnessed my hard work, resulting in over $100 million in funding for District 3 police and fire stations, streets, and parks. I'm proud of my track record and grateful for my constituents' unwavering support. I have and continue to perform my council responsibilities effectively. This being part of the, again, I would call this a direct result, or certainly in the aftermath of the entire gas card kerfuffle and all that stuff going on. So in the back and forth about this group having organized and filed based on that. So basically they have 60 days to gather that for just shy of 5,000 signatures, about 20% of the number of voters who cast ballots in the November 3rd, 2020 race there. And yeah, RJ, putting it fall, have you been outside lately? Yeah, what's the current temperature right now? I don't actually have one in our studio, but I do say we have the AC cranked in order to keep equipment we got in here working. But I know we've been in the hundreds. I think it was 101 the last time I deigned to step outside, and I'm sure it's only gone up higher than that. So yeah, that's why I say like fall in air quotes. So I mean, there'll be a maze. That'll be great. One other thing I do want to mention before we delve right into those phone lines is that, yeah, there's also some other unfun stuff coming up. Anyone who has been expecting Mesa to be completely open and accessible after all the work they did, there's going to be more work happening on Mesa. I am so sorry to have to put this to anyone and deliver that bad news. It's about a $14 million pavement rehabilitation project. And for anyone asking, wait, didn't they just replace all of that? You wouldn't be wrong, but in this case, they're going to be even doing some further roadbed maintenance, and it'll all be happening for the next year, starting September 11th and going into August of 2024. Lane closures, single lane closures, and particularly 2 major sections. There'll be the Sunland Park to Donovan Drive area, and then East Yandell to Glory Road / Baltimore. So basically, right next to downtown, and then right next to, again, Sunland Park and across I-10 on that section. So either way, part of I-10, if you're trying to get on Mesa part of there, expect, again, single lane random closures. Random, my emphasis, not theirs. They'll be doing it, hopefully, with a purpose. But they'll be removing 2 to 6.5 inches of asphalt in some areas. So that's going to be fun for the next year. So those are just a couple of things going on, at least in our immediate area, though there's been a lot going on across the country, including some very interesting comments that our news partners at KFOX 14 do have more on from the mayor of New York City. But that's enough setting of the table, because there's a whole lot more than even I could just listing off things for this. I got accused of sounding like an auctioneer listing off names yesterday. Maybe not accused, but definitely was a, man, you go through that fast. And even at that pace, I think we wouldn't get through all the things that are even just in our area. So let's get to those phone lines. Again, keep that number handy, as it will probably be full up during the show, but when one call ends, a line becomes available. 915-544-5876, 544-KTS. One last comment I'll get to right there. RJ, in response to the recall effort, saying Hernandez should have took her letter of reprimand and kept her head down. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I'm not sure that would have forestalled this effort that has now gone underway in any case. Based on some of the rhetoric. Again, full news conference available from our news partners at KFOX 14 under the article entitled Notice to Recall City Representative Cassandra Hernandez filed by group of citizens. But let's dive into those phone lines now. We do have Andrew on the west side here with us right now. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, Andrew. Happy Friday, and live long and prosper.
Certainly to you as well. And happy Friday, certainly. So what's on your mind today?
Immigration.
Oh, yep, that ever so slightly recurring issue.
It seems the number of people over there by the church on Father Ram and, Sacred Heart,
sure,
over on Father Ram and Oregon. It seems to fluctuate on a daily basis.
That sounds about right. It's been a minute since I've been down there to see it myself. I've often seen some things of, I don't know, on social media, both from our news partners and other ways. And what is that? Yeah, Father Ram or 4th Ave is the one that I was down there most recently. But yes, there's Oregon is one of the ones that goes by. I'm looking at my map here. Yeah. So, I mean, there's different releases that have happened. Again, one of the more telling sets of data has certainly been the information coming out from, again, City of El Paso, but including the Migrant Situational Awareness Dashboard, elpasotexas.gov/migrant-crisis, showing that while the encounters has been fluctuating a bit, trending slightly higher, though not quite at levels in the previous high marks that we saw before this. And releases have been increasing kind of slightly. Again, nowhere near the major ones that we saw at the end and middle to end of last year. But the in custody numbers have continued to rise, being most recent count available there about 4,800. So there certainly is a lot of presence in our area, and we know that that is an area that releases do happen. And so it doesn't surprise me the way we've seen this, again, continued fluctuation.
True. I would say, okay, we are 6 months away from the primary, 14 months away from the general election. My prediction is that we are going to see a concerted effort by this administration to expel more people and try to keep those numbers down.
I think that's definitely possible. Again, some of the stuff, including that LA Times article that we talked about yesterday about looking at some insiders inside the administration about there potentially being new policy coming out for lack of a better term, a remain in Texas policy about keeping it constrained, particularly in reference to some of that stuff coming out of New York and other national conversations. So wouldn't be exactly towards the expelling like you're talking about. Well, the policy, the way it was being not exactly floated, but talked about, would be with an eye towards that. So I could see that. I'll agree with you there.
Well, I wasn't aware of that remain in Texas. I'm not privy to that. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so that one was from the LA Times. We talked about that yesterday on the program. So their article title out of yesterday was it's not good. It was on, so we weren't able to link to that yesterday. But the article title is Biden administration considers forcing migrant families to remain in Texas. So it's not a blanket remain in Texas policy. And again, it has not been fully announced as policy. These were from, unnamed officials within the administration, not authorized to speak on the matter, et cetera, et cetera. And essentially what they described is the idea of, particularly for families, and they focusing on that specifically because of what was being referenced as the difficulty of enforcement, that making sure to get full family units at one point in time, as opposed to, like single adults that don't have families, attachments, etc. You can just, pick them up, arrest them, and then go through the process. And so that was specifically the reference to this policy. Again, not in place and not officially announced yet, though. Well, I'd be very curious to see. I haven't seen anything exactly yet, at least on this point specifically from the administration, on the idea of, for those that have been waiting for asylum hearings, they will not be, it's not released on their own recognizance, but near as, damn it. And they would have to stay either in Texas, Texas was most specifically mentioned, or potentially the other border states, areas where they enter, etc. So that's why it's being kind of shorthand called the remain in Texas policy. Again, not fully floated yet, but it kind of goes in the vein of what you're talking about, the reason to bring it up here.
Well, I don't see how Texas or other counties on the border, whether you live in New Mexico, Texas, or Arizona, can sustain that type of influx. Not all of us have a freezer full of chocolate chip ice cream, if you get what I mean. I
get entirely what you're saying. And again, the one article that is out today and can again see from our news partners at KFOX 14, New York mayor warns of city's destruction due to continuous migrant arrivals. Commissioner David Stout responds, and they do have a little bit more on that in the news update we have coming for you all at the bottom of the hour, or at least a note on that as well. And given that, and that we're looking at, what was it, about 110,000 that have arrived specifically through the various means, including, yes, I do believe that includes Operation Lone Star and those efforts from the governor of Texas and the busing that has happened there, though that's been nowhere near the six figures, at least to my understanding. I think it's been in like the low five figures, like 10,000 or so, talking about the billions of dollars of deficits they're seeing there. Now, I don't believe that the entire, I think, what was it, like 12 to 18 billion dollars that just the city of New York City is looking at in their deficits comes from that. I think it's in the like single to maybe just multiples of billions, which also, I gotta say, personally, does not make sense to me when it comes to, it would cost less to house everyone they're talking about there in like Rikers Island. Okay, no, Rikers is incredibly expensive, but in like full 24-hour surveillance, and like it does not, the numbers don't add up for me. I need more math to understand why they're coming up with those numbers. But talking about that at that number as being a severe detriment on the city, their resources and their services, expecting that to be constrained within any other state doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, I have to say.
Very true, very true. But what the heck? Let them in. We can handle it.
Yes, there's been a lot of memes going on around all this whole subject. I'll definitely say that. But again, this idea, this possibility, and whether or not this response to that article, among other things, may end up forestalling it since it wasn't actually announced just yet, remains to be seen. But I think the idea of, well, just keep the problem next to it. And again, we're not talking about all populations that are crossing the border. It is, again, specifically focused on families, that potential policy being talked about by the LA Times. But I think that even that would cause enough. I mean, we've seen the response that's happened already and the court cases that have already responded from just the state level efforts in response to the administration already and I mean, what's happening in our area. About the only reason you see that fluctuation that you're talking about, that certainly has been able to be seen at various points in time around Sacred Heart or any of the other spaces where releases have been happening from federal custody and kind of the maybe not handover, but where then NGOs, the local nonprofit groups end up taking over and providing at least the temporary services. They're not permanent services because they are certainly temporary because the entire focus, the entire pipeline in our area is focused then on people moving to other areas. I'm sure there has been some number of people that have stayed in our area even after crossing, even after doing things like that. But the vast majority and the way pretty much everything is set up is then to take them to other final points of destination. So if that were to be the case, where that would no longer be happening for even any, again, families is the focus here, that being a portion of it, the exact percentage is a little bit fleeting or hard to pin down. At the very least, that could see definite impacts in our area and having to change the way that services are happening, applied, and potentially reimbursements that come along with it.
Very, very true. But anyway, yeah, downtown has been fluctuating. I see some of the same old faces here, some new faces. But anyway, just wanted to also say, hey, Marco, keep at it. I hope you are successful in your run for mayor. I have not tried his restaurant, but one of the things I don't see on his menu online is mole.
Okay. I mean, I would say mole isn't the most common thing around there when it comes to otherwise traditional Mexican dishes. I mean, we still kind of got the Tex-Mex going in our area, and I personally don't actually look for the mole that much after having been way mole'd out on one particular visit down to Oaxaca. So, hey, if you like it, more power to you.
Right on. Okay, well, have a good weekend, and thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Take care.
And with that, we'll go ahead and take that next break right now. A lot of other people chiming in, adding their 2 cents. And of course, on those phone lines, again, that number to do so if you want to call in is, got to be quick with it. It may have just pulled up already, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Hammer and Nails is more than just El Paso's or one of El Paso's newest men's grooming destinations. I'm very much looking forward to my next appointment with them. We'll be meeting with them here in the coming weeks, and we'll be having that next giveaway set up. So you definitely want to stay tuned both on air and for the sneak previews, hints at when it's coming up over on our social media if you're not already clued in over there. But specifically, their services are the reason that we have this partnership, and they are the official hair and beard sponsor of the show because they're great cuts and beard grooming. The reason that I go there, and plus the other great services, literally head to toe care for guys out there. I go and got most recently the premium cut and premium beard grooming, but some of the other things I'm definitely looking at, including their other services, including facial, head, hair, foot, and all the different services in between. So once we get those scheduled, we'll definitely be heading out there and letting y'all know, and of course doing those giveaways. So if you want to make your appointment, try it out for yourself. You can certainly always find them online at hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammer, A-N-D, nailsgrooming.com, or just find them right there over at the Fountains at Faro, lower level, 8889 Gateway Boulevard West, Suite 1760. Tell them you sent you, and I'll see you there.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
I-10 westbound after Geronimo, an accident from earlier is off to the left. Looking at some minor delays back to Airway with less than a 5-minute delay. A disabled vehicle is blocking the right lane, I-10 westbound at the 54 Patriot. And stop-and-go traffic, I-10 eastbound from Vinton down to Artcraft, 11-minute delays. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
For the Kids Golf Tournament, September 29th at Butterfield Trail Golf Course to benefit Guardians of the Children's Sun City. Help fight child abuse while out on the green. Food, drinks, on-course games, prizes, and swag all included with your registration fee, plus much, much more. more. Registration open now. Spots are limited. Various sponsorship levels available. Contact Guardians of the Children Sun City for more information at suncity.goc@gmail.com or message them at Guardians of the Children Sun City on Facebook. For the Kids Golf Tournament, register for the fun, play for the cause.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds? At Blindster, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
The annoying runny nose, the constant sneezing, the itchiness, and battle just to catch your breath. If you suffer from seasonal allergies, sinusitis, or nagging sinus congestion, there's a natural, easy-to-use solution that can help provide fast, drug-free relief. It's called Navage, and it uses powered suction to rinse your nasal passages in seconds. Millions of people use Navage daily to help provide relief from seasonal allergies and sinus congestion. Medications treat the symptoms, but Navage treats the problem at the source, flushing out the allergens and pollen trapped in your nose. Navage also helps wash out airborne bacteria, dust, dirt, and viruses quickly and painlessly, so you can get back to breathing clearly again. Say goodbye to sinus suffering and hello to better breathing with Navage. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, Target, CVS, Rite Aid, and online at Navage.com. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Consumer Cellular's award-winning customer support is 100% based in the U.S., and you are 100% based in the U.S. That's something you have in common with Consumer Cellular's customer service. Consumer Cellular's customer service likes pizza, and you like pizza. You want a free month of service, and we want to give you one. We obviously can't wait to hear from you. Visit consumercellular.com/free month and enter code free month to get your second month free. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Promotion is subject to terms and conditions.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of people tuning in, chiming in, adding their 2 cents over there, like Ida Beza Gardner, wishing all a happy Free-for-All Friday, and Edgar Ortiz letting us know that he's on board, and Kay Green also saying, have a blessed Friday, and also wanted to comment on a discussion yesterday about people riding motorcycles, that takes a real man or woman to ride a motorcycle. Listen, the interview we had yesterday, as much as I thought it was an interesting subject and one that we don't usually touch on, but certainly affects us here in the borderland, it was not intended to be an advertisement or indictment of either way. If you want to, do it. If you don't, but don't yuck someone else's yum. I don't know. Maybe that's the way I've heard it put recently, but hey, different strokes, different folks. People are going to take on different risk-reward assessments in their life here. I've found it to be pretty rewarding myself, if only on the gas savings. No, it's not the reason most people do it, but hey, it's the greenest vehicle I own. Anyway, getting back to those phone lines now, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM, and lines full up at the moment. Just keep the number handy. We do have Ben on the east side here with us right now. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Just a minute ago, you talked about that the numbers weren't as high coming across the border as they were in May.
You know, you're coming in a little bit muffled there. I think you're talking about the number one coming across the border is what?
You said something about that the number of people coming across the border weren't as high as the people coming across in May.
Oh, yes. In our sector, this is just based on those local numbers, which is why I then reference what's available again at PasoTexas.gov/migrant-crisis. And it may not it honestly doesn't really come close to a total encapsulation of all people coming across. There's three major metrics they have available there: the total migrant releases by calendar week, CBP encounters 7-day rolling average, and CBP in custody 7-day rolling average, which are all related, certainly, but different in very key weeks, because the encounters, that is in our area. So the people that are crossing, being, encountered in the desert, etc., those kind of things, that is in that number. And that is definitely lower than we were seeing back in, May. What was the 19th week of this year? I'm not good at doing that level of math. We're not too far away from it, I will say, but it's definitely different than the end of last year, about half as much as we were seeing back at that point in time. But otherwise, some of the releases we are seeing are pretty high. We're at or even exceeding what we were seeing, pretty near at what we were seeing at the end of last year. For comparison, in the third to last full week of the year, there was 5,039 in custody, rolling 7-day average, and currently we're sitting at 4,801. So the way my reading of that phenomena is, in particular, that while there may not be as much activity happening in terms of crossing immediately in our area, we are then being used in again, not a return to form, but closer to what has happened in recent times, of these facilities in our area being used to essentially handle the overflow happening in other border sectors, in other parts where they do no longer have the capacity to handle it, being brought here and being processed in our area. At least that is what has happened when we've seen similar type situations with these kind of numbers in the past.
Okay, I'm looking at an article. Headlines is the number of families illegally entering the U.S. reached an all-time high in August. More than 177,000 people illegally entered the U.S. from Mexico in August. Okay, that's not what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
But I was at a meeting, a neighborhood meeting yesterday, and I asked Congressman Veronica Escobar if she knew that most Hispanics, people of color, had low vitamin D levels, and that was one of the main reasons they had more COVID infections and more serious COVID infections than white. Her response, she told me that she was not aware of that. And I told her that I know we don't see eye to eye politically because we had a little exchange beforehand, but we both want her constituency and my neighbors to live more healthy lives. And I hope she would look into the positive effects of having high levels of vitamin D. And she's told me that she would.
Okay.
I pray that she does that.
I mean, we've talked about this a few times over years now. We can say it that way because it has been that phrase that, I mean, as much as there were and continue to be a lot of health challenges, there are some specific ones that are based on the population and the people and the activity. I mean, we keep getting rated by, the laziest, sweatiest city, unfortunately, stuff like that. And I'm not saying those are necessarily fair metrics. They catch headlines, which is the reason they come up. But we do have certain kind of, maybe not endemic, but very problematic and certainly needing to be focused on, like, the cirrhosis of the liver and diabetes. One of the reasons that we have, like, the whole medical center of the Americas as a concept and established was because of the needs that we do have in this area. So there are many ways and many things that need to be focused on in the health realm. That's, regardless of your standpoint on it, if you want people to be doing better in our area, which is, I find any opposition to that to be pretty misanthropic, these are things worth talking about.
Hispanics, mostly people of color. And our Congresswoman, Veronica Escobar, whose constituents are mostly people of color, mostly non-whites, she did not know anything about the virtues of having high vitamin D levels. I find that really kind of reprehensible. And hopefully, again, I just hope, and that's what my point is, not about other diabetes and everything else. I am talking about just about COVID, because COVID numbers, according to the news, are coming up, and they're talking about in several states putting people back in masks, and maybe, and if and locking them down again, and things of that sort. So we need to be aware of that. That's something very important for El Paso to be aware of, because especially with our present our present leaders, They were all ready, willing, and able to lock us down. Okay. One other thing. Once again, I challenged liberals listening to watch Tucker Carlson on X one-on-one interviews with Stephen Sund, former Capitol Police Chief during the January 6th insurrection, JFK Jr., Devin Archer, former business partner of Hunter Biden, Colonel Douglas MacArthur on the Ukraine war, and the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban. Just listen to him, and give me a response to what you think about it. Also, if you want me to, tell me what I'm supposed to listen to. Okay? Any interviews that you want me to listen to, I'll be more than happy to. I'm open to other ideas, but so far, I mean, what the Biden administration, and I'm talking about the Biden administration, not Biden, has done to this country is bad.
Fair enough here. Well, do appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Okay, stay well, stay safe. God bless. Have a good weekend, and let's go, Brandon.
All right, and with that, we will take that next break right now. I will say one note on this, because it's certainly having some conversations off air, about this issue as well, the concept of, okay, we're looking at another, fall surge or any of those kind of things. And yes, it would count as fall for everywhere else. I don't see you, RJ. And I will say this for Texas anyway. Other states doing things, reintroducing mandates or even lockdowns or anything approaching it is going to be a hard sell by my mind, I do feel like. But I will say in Texas, one of those laws that just took effect, and looking specifically from the Texas State Law Library, guides.sll.texas.gov, not expecting you to look it up exactly, but does note that Senate Bill 29 that did come into effect, in this page updated at the start of the month when those new laws came online, adds that for Chapter 81B of the Texas Health and Safety Code, just become available, that section 81B.002 prohibits state and local government entities from requiring masks, and the actual verbatim being hearing subsection A, except for provided by subsection B, a governmental entity may not implement, order, or otherwise impose a mandate requiring a person to wear a face mask or other face covering to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, it does not prevent someone from choosing to do it on their own, but just saying, I don't think this comes as a surprise for anyone aware of the politics and the perspectives of political leadership here in Texas. So that's just one thing I feel relevant to add in this circumstance, and when that subject comes up, at least affecting us here in this side of the borderland area. But let's take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll get to more calls, more comments, more of everything we do on Fridays, because Free for All Friday, it's what we're doing, it's what we're here for, and it's what we call it when we take y'all's comments and calls throughout both hours of the program. Well into it now and taking that next break. So keep that number handy. Pull up again at the moment. But again, you hear one call in, give it a shot. 915-544-5876. 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere. Texas Mutual Insurance Company bringing the WorkSafe Texas Summit to the El Paso area Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte in downtown El Paso. The free 2.5-hour event does also include a free breakfast, and it brings health and safety and compliance information, most specifically, that can help employers protect their workers. 2 interactive Q&A sessions with safety experts will be provided, including OSHA information panel discussion and workplace safety panel discussion, and also providing helpful resources and safety materials, plus opportunities to network with other business owners and safety professionals. Parking validation will be provided, so space is limited. Register by September 12th. That's coming up here, folks. You have got less than a week to make sure that you are registered by going over and visiting texasmutual.com/summit. That's Texas mutual.com/SUMMIT to make sure that you're fully registered for, again, the free breakfast and parking validation Texas Mutual Insurance Company's WorkSafe Texas Summit, Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte in downtown El Paso.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 news update. The mayor of New York issued a new warning to New York residents regarding the ongoing migrant crisis. In a news conference this week, Mayor Eric Adams warned New Yorkers that the issue will, quote, destroy New York City. Adams says New York could face a $12 billion deficit due to the 110,000 migrants that have arrived in New York from border states like Texas. El Paso County Commissioner David Stout said that the mayor's choice of words was reprehensible and says that it's a mistake to villainize the asylum seekers who are seeking a better life. One person was seriously injured in a crash on I-10 this morning. It happened at 5:30 near Vinton. According to the sheriff's office, one person was severely injured and taken to a local hospital. And in East El Paso, several mailboxes were broken into and vandalized. It happened in the 1400 block of Sal Rey Way behind the Plaza Misiones on Zaragoza Boulevard on Thursday. There was a poster on the mailboxes from the Postal Service directing citizens to pick up their mail elsewhere. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olguin.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Watch for a wreck on I-10 westbound at Red. It's blocking the right lane and causing delays. 9-minute delays now from Wrestler up to Las Muchas. Also on the I-10 westbound at Artcraft, a pickup truck with a trailer is blocking the left lane. Stop and go I-10 eastbound from Vinton down to Artcraft with 11-minute delays. And that earlier crash I-10 westbound at Geronimo is in the clearing stages off to the left. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is forecaster Nasai Mancini. Well, folks, in for a little bit of a warm weekend here in the borderland. Temperatures still going to be in those triple digits. We'll cool off, though, as we make our way into the early part of next week. Also see some rain chances returning Monday, all the way looking like through Friday. So break out those umbrellas, looking like we're having a little bit of a cool down and some relief. Now, folks, still will be in that heat advisory all the way until 8 p.m. Friday night. Head on over to kfoxtv.com for the latest forecast.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Keep your family and livelihood safe with Mazer Security Alarms. Systems start at under $35 per month. No job is too small or too large. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, call Mazer Security Alarms at 915-590-0033.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds? At Blindster, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. Be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. And a lot of things going on and happening out there. I will just say on one of those questions that came up about that, again, being so-called Remain in Texas policy potential that has not been, as far as I'm aware, actually put forth by the Biden administration, but rather the subject of that LA Times article. Did try to post the link over on our social media. It is a behind a paywall, or at the very least it is for us. Maybe looked at too many stuff here. Not usually subscribers to the LA Times, but they had the most complete information on it. A lot of the places have posted about it as well, so check that out. I will say that the second one we posted over there does include Governor Greg Abbott's response to here, which I had missed, so glad they caught that one. He did tweets not too long after we were on air yesterday. Doubt he was listening, but did say Biden considers forcing migrant families to remain in Texas. This scam was tried years ago and was shot down by a judge. We will send Biden the same swift justice, and we will add even more buses of migrants to Washington, D.C. Nothing terrifically surprising there for me in that response, I do have to say here. And then linking to that article, Twitter's often a good place that I sometimes forget to check enough, but or X as it is now still feels weird. I'm sorry. I don't know why Elon Musk has this focus on the letter X, either in his cars, his apps, or his children. Anyway, point is that it's available there. Check that out if you want to. That's on the governor's, I guess, personal Twitter, as opposed to the official one for the governor of Texas. This is his Greg Abbott _TX. Anyway, getting back to those phone lines now. We do have on the line with us right now Raul in the Northeastern line. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Well, poor people without health insurance have higher morbidity and mortality rates. Ben, what happened to Trump Care, which Trump said he'd replace Obamacare with? Trump said his health insurance plan would have lower premiums, cover everyone regardless of pre-existing conditions. And here's the best part. The premiums would be paid for by the government. He lied again. Anyway, Republicans have fought health insurance for all Americans forever because they are in the pockets of the health insurance industry. Now, I bet your listeners who say that I have TDS are the same hypocrites who criticized Obama throughout his presidency. I heard it on this radio station the whole 8 years, okay? And they're the same people who believe Trump's birther lie. Now, that lie endangered the president and his family's lives. Years ago on this station, I heard a former Secret Service agent say that the threats against the president quadrupled while Obama was president. And back this June, after Trump retweeted the doxing of Obama's Washington, D.C. home address, a Trump terrorist who was at the 1/6 Capitol insurrection who was on the lam was arrested near Obama's Washington, D.C. home with arms and bomb-making equipment in his van, which was located nearby. Now, Trump's big lie was responsible for the Capitol's attack and the death of 5 people and 1,000 violent attacks on Capitol officers. So I remind your Trumper listeners, Trump is in the news regularly with all his criminal indictments, lawsuits, and ongoing investigations. And dictator Donald Trump never stopped running for president. Presently, Donald is front runner for the Republicans' presidential candidate. He's the world's best-known media whore and Karen. He loves attention. Anyway, to Ben about who to listen to. On YouTube, I regularly listen to my law professors on Midas Touch, top litigators Ben Marcellus and Michael Popak, who put their law practices on hold so they and their team can attend all of Trump's publicly open trials and criminal proceedings, and that of his co-defendants and co-conspirators. They also acquire and read all the publicly available court filings and documents, summarize, analyze them, and report their results to their millions of listeners. Well, yesterday, Ben's guest was Trump's former personal attorney of 10 years, and the first big-time flipper on Trump, Michael Cohen, who went to jail for following Trump's order to pay hush money with company funds to Stormy Daniels, the porn star with who he had a 3-minute sexual encounter. Well, on that show, I heard Cohen use or coin the term MAGA morons. So I thought I'd write a short poem that I'd like to read called "You Might Be a MAGA Moron If." You might be a maggot moron if you believe Trump's claim that he's a very stable genius. You might be a maggot moron if you believe Trump when he repeatedly bragged about knowing more about everything and everybody. You might be a maggot moron if you think a man who groomed his daughter from adolescence to sit on dirty daddy's lap and twerk him in public is normal. You might be a maggot moron if you believe that the twice impeached, unelected, and 4-time indicted former president is winning. You might be a maggot moron if you think it's normal for a president to declare to the world that he had fallen in love with the communist dictator of North Korea. You might be a maggot moron if you think it's normal for the President of the United States to be called a Putin-loving moron by his former National Security Affairs advisor. You might be a maggot moron if you believe Trump when he said that Mexico was that he was going to build a wall spanning the entire border between Mexico and the United States, and that Mexico was going to pay for it. Last but not least, you might be a maggot moron if you're all worked up about illegal immigration, but not outraged with the fact that Trump lied about his rounding up and deporting all the illegals working in the United States.
Just as a gentle reminder, we generally don't allow pre-written or written things to be read on there. If you want us to read something or review something, we, of course, do have our email, andrewpolk@iheartmedia.com, where we will review things. But you said it was going to be short, and I suppose you held up to that here. Look, I'm not saying that I personally agree with the personality, the leadership style of the former president, but I do have to question that your way of going about it, of trying to, I mean, you want to talk about him, the former president, that's one thing, but seriously, slapping around the other people saying, why? I've said all these bad things about the guy that you don't hate the way I do. Why would you still like him? I think it comes from a complete misconception about how this works, or of how people end up make the decisions of ending up supporting it. Listen, there's a reason that we talk about the things we talk about the rest of the weekend. You usually hope to on Friday, is because talking about the policies, the impacts on people, when you start talking about where people's pocketbooks get hit, where their choice of how they can live or what they're able to do with their lives, the stuff that really hits home, that's where, if you're truly looking for movement, and I'm not necessarily even suggesting that this or any other form would be the right way to do it, but if that's truly the thing that you end up wanting to do, wanting to see, wanting to have in place, the way to go about it would be explaining, talking about the policies and being like, yeah, but this isn't working out the way, it may not be in your interest, not in your favor. This smacks way too much of the whole basket of deplorables things that I think we all know how that ended up working out. If you're trying to slap around other parts of the electorate, trying to, shame them into, if that's not your intention, it certainly seems to come off that way, of shaming into like, yeah, you can't like that guy, any of those kind of things. And the reason I take that particular as the intention from you there, particularly when it comes to that, well, they can say bad things about the current president, but you can't say slanderous or libelous things about them. Again, it's coming down to not even what is effectual or what people really think about or how they make these decisions. So if you just want to slap people around saying, yeah, I think you're an idiot, or the whole, MAGA moron, as I will say, it was coming from the comment there, but it sounded more like you're saying maggot moron. Point is, that's for you, my dude. Like, that is this, let's just admit it, that is there for your own gratification and not for any larger purpose, which, fine. If that's the way you want to do it and go about it, there's a million other places, probably more than that, online, offline, on a street corner. I think there was a guy down the street from us today. Couldn't hear what he was saying because he was shouting at cars passing by with a megaphone, it looked like, but he had an American flag. If I'd had more time, I would have looked into that one a little bit more closely. But, if that's what you want to do with your time, I'm not stopping you. But when it comes to the way we talk about things here, if you're just wanting to slap people around and say, yeah, you're bad, that really, just recognize that's all you're saying and all you're doing here. Anyway, we're going to take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, probably a little bit too close to the pin to take another call, but we'll certainly talk a little bit more and get to more of the comments as well, which I did neglect a little bit during that segment. So in any case, stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
All of a sudden, a bunch of crashes on your borderland freeways. I-10 eastbound at Chelsea, an accident is slowing traffic. 54 Patriot northbound at Sun Valley Drive, a crash is off to the right. An accident's blocking the right lane, I-10 westbound at Red. An earlier crash, I-10 westbound after Geronimo, is off to the left and clearing. Stop and go, I-10 eastbound Vincent to Artcraft, 25-minute delays. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
Hey guys, this is Andrew J. Polk. My not-so-secret way of looking and feeling great is going to Hammer and Nails, El Paso's newest men's grooming destination, with everything about your personal grooming, privacy, and comfort in mind. Ready with your favorite drink at the door. They offer everything from head to toe, hair, beard, mustache, and hand and foot services. You want to find out about their full services and their great memberships. Of course, find them online, hammerandnailsgrooming.com. That's hammer, A-N-D, nailsgrooming.com. And I'll see you there.
Good news, El Paso. The WorkSafe Texas Summit is coming, and it's absolutely free. You don't want to miss this exciting opportunity to get important information that can help you protect your workers. Texas Mutual Insurance Company's innovative safety event features panel discussions, safety materials, and more. It's free, it's informative, and we're even providing breakfast. So join us from 8 to 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte. Register at texasmutual.com/summit.
In this week's Marketers Report, Chris Brandt, Chief Marketing Officer at Chipotle Mexican Grill, weighs in on the power of audio.
We've used audio to reinforce what we're showing on TV, what we're showing in other digital channels. When your priority is driving reach, boy, everybody seems to listen to the radio.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to the audiences, conversations, trusted influencers, insights, and data you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartResults.com.
Attention homeowners, get Choice Home Warranty's award-winning service for 25 major systems and appliances before a breakdown. Call 1-844-674-5971 for a free quote. That's 1-844-674-5971. Limitations apply. Visit choicehomewarranty.com for details.
One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
Buying a diamond from a certified gemologist appraiser is all the advice you need to ensure you are making the right choice.
When it comes to an expert to guide you, visit SusanEisen.com. One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
Do you have jewelry left over from a previous relationship? Now is the time to let us make you the best offer we can using our worldwide research.
When it comes to getting the most for your gold, visit SusanEisen.com.
No one gets me. I can't take this. Where's home tonight? Hope mom's okay.
Life can take a turn for anyone. So remember, there are always people, places, and activities for you to turn to. Learn more about mental health at turn2supportstx.org.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the program, particularly both at this point during the day and during the week. Do have a lot of comments coming in, and was correct-ish, pretty close to the end of the hour here. Too close to really get into a call in any kind of like, hello, goodbye kind of way. So we'll keep that over to the next hour. If you're on the line, stay there. If you want to get on the line, they are available now. There's at least one open at the moment, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM is the number to call here. And we'll get into a lot more in the second hour of the program. And just a lot of back and forth, particularly on the commentary, and at least one here that I wanted to get to. Armando Moncada is putting forth, I am not ashamed of supporting my favorite candidate. And other commentary coming in, including Marco for mayor saying, my favorite wrestlers are all the heels. Bring it on, Orange Mad Rad coming for you. That's an interesting way to put it. And also the idea that of not having TDS, paraphrasing Stephen M. Purdy here, but then literally writing a poem on the issue. Yeah, I'm just going to say, if you're saying, no, I'm not obsessed with something, let me read you the poem I wrote about it. That might not be the way coming across the way you intended. I'll kind of agree with Stephen on that one. Anyway, you have to get to the top of the hour right now. So coming back out of this, we got a lot more. Second hour of the program, Free for All Friday for y'all on deck. So stay tuned. We'll talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere. Top of the hour news.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
On the I-10 westbound at Red, an earlier accident still blocking the right lane, causing 7-minute delays from Wrestler up to Trans Mountain. 54 Patriot northbound at Sun Valley Drive, a crash involving a couple of vehicles blocking the right lane. I-10 eastbound at Chelsea, a minor crash there. All lanes are open. And I-10 eastbound is slow. Vinton down to Artcraft. It is a 15-minute delay. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Our
Radio Music Festival is coming back to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, September 22nd and 23rd.
The most unforgettable weekend of music on the planet.
Buy tickets now at AXS.com.
Privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
Binges, blackouts, regret, shame, trying and failing to drink less or quit. Hi, I'm Jonathan, founder of Or Health. I know how scary drinking too much can be because I struggled with alcohol misuse for most of my adult life. But I also know that it is possible to drink less or quit. And medication can help. Naltrexone is a safe, effective medication that makes it easier to cut back or quit drinking, so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. I started Or Health to make access to naltrexone convenient and private, to help people like me regain control over alcohol.
If you're ready to stop drinking or just drink less, text ADULT to 323232 to get a secure link to Or Health's private online assessment. Our licensed medical professionals will evaluate your assessment, and if medication is right for you, prescribe it online. We'll deliver your prescription right to your door. No doctor's office visits required. Text the word adult to 323232 to get started today. That's adult to 323232.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. A federal judge is denying a request from former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to move the Georgia election interference case against him to federal court. Meadows argued on the grounds that he was a federal officer when the alleged election crimes took place. The move was seen as a better path for Meadows to perhaps get the charges dismissed. Last month, Meadows, former President Trump, and 17 others were charged with felony racketeering and conspiracy counts in the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. The manufacturer of a widely used abortion pill is asking the Supreme Court to overturn a lower court ruling that would restrict access to the drug. Mifepristone's maker is requesting the nation's highest court take up the case next year. The so-called floating border wall, which is meant to deter illegal immigration into Texas, is not going anywhere. Lieutenant Chris Olivares with the Texas Department of Public Safety says it's unbelievable that the White House is trying to stop something that's working.
The federal government continues to attack Governor Abbott for stepping up and taking on the responsibility to secure the border.
The Justice Department is suing to get the border buoys out of the Rio Grande. A federal judge agreed, but an appeals court ruled in the state's favor, keeping the status quo as the lawsuit plays out. The IRS is cracking down on millionaires that owe hundreds of millions of dollars in back taxes. Lisa Taylor has more.
The agency announced it's launching an initiative funded by the Inflation Reduction Act to increase auditing on large businesses and the wealthy. Audit rates on those making less than $400,000 a year will not change. The IRS commissioner said in a statement that years of underfunding before the IRS led to the lowest audit rate of wealthy filers in our history.
Hurricane Lee is weakening slightly, but forecasters say it remains a powerful storm. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. The Florida State Supreme Court heard oral arguments over the state's abortion law that bans the procedure after 15 weeks, claiming it violates the state's constitution. Karen Curtis has the details.
HB 5's abortion ban has been in effect for more than a year in Florida, and the attorney for Planned Parenthood told the High Court that the ban harms both patients and providers.
The trial court found irreparable harm both to plaintiffs themselves and to their patients, that HB 5 would force them to act in ways that are contrary to their professional judgment and to their ethical obligations to provide care to their patients.
The state disagrees.
The purpose of remedies is to remedy an injury. So I think it's entirely logical that in asking whether a litigant has asserted an irreparable harm that will remedy the particular injury in fact.
A 6-week moratorium on abortion is pending the Florida Supreme Court's decision on the 15-week ban.
Kroger will pay $1.2 billion to settle most claims it fueled the opioid epidemic with prescription drug sales. Kroger is the latest pharmacy chain to announce a nationwide settlement after Walgreens, CVS, and Walmart did so last year. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa is concerned about remote work in federal government bureaucracies. She's calling on the U.S. Inspector General to turn out some reporting on it across all federal agencies.
To determine first the impact of telework on the delivery and response times of services.
On the Senate floor this week, Ernst suggested possible taxpayer savings could be achieved. Warner Brothers is suspending payments to its producers for the duration of the strike. Executives at 2 studios told the LA Times that major film producers could also see their deals affected. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
Now, your chance at $1,000 and a trip to our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Yeah! Text the nationwide keyword LUCKY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's LUCKY to 200-200.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Want to save on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom blinds, shades, and shutters at prices less than big box retailers.
El Paso area businesses, you're invited to join Texas Mutual Insurance Company for the free WorkSafe Texas Summit on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte. Get information on workplace safety, OSHA, and more. Register at texasmutual.com/summit.
You can learn about sustainability and the environment at home. Visit iHeartRadio.com/earth for a list of resources, activity guides, and toolkits that are educational and fun for the whole family. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/earth.
Why is iHeartRadio the #1 streaming radio app? Free music.
Free live radio stations from all over the country.
Free podcasts. Free playlists.
Free contests. Free artist radio stations.
Commercial-free stations. It's free. I love iHeartRadio. Join the millions of music, radio, and podcast fans on the #1 streaming radio app now.
iHeartRadio.
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 Free never sounded so good.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of comments, commentary, calls, and we'll keep getting to those here. And do have a line available, at least one right now, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of commentary and other things coming on online, mostly turning into a fight about the virtues or lack thereof of the former president at the particular point in time, which there's a reason that, I mean, they say don't read the comments. I mean, I see them all, don't worry, even if we don't necessarily always have time to deal with all of them in any time, and particularly when it's just the kind of back and forth of no, you. We don't end up popping up on screen, but in case they are there, that's why we do call it the Thunderdome of comments, among other things. But we do have, again, those phone lines available. We'll get to more of those here. So if you're on the line, stay there. But of course, the number 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Well and open through this next hour as we make our way through all the issues that we can squeeze into, as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. So I just got to say one thing that I'm realizing I'm having like a delayed reaction to. Andrew was correct. The caller, Andrew, at the start of the first hour, about how we are right around from Election Day, though the way you put it, 14 months. I don't know why that hit me in a particular, like, oh my God, we're already there. We've been in the election already. This isn't like news or surprising, but when you start quantifying things, and in the midst of it, we get some updates, particularly, focused on Texas, in particular, the Texas Association of Broadcasters, and then right at the end of this last hour, got the, as they put it, welcome to the first TAB political update email for the 2024 election year. So it just, a lot of life comes at you fast sometimes, and realizing we're already on the cusp of it got me breathing heavy a little bit. Anyway, let's get to back to those phone lines now. We do have Jeremiah in the Mission Valley on the line with us here right now. Jeremiah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I called to talk about downtown El Paso right now at this time.
Sure.
I was going to say, when I wonder if the powers that be want to make downtown El Paso only a place where rich people can stay there and shop there, because I noticed that right now I go to downtown El Paso once a week, check to see what's going on. I'm gonna tell you, be straight. The new restaurants that they open up, they don't stay open that late. They don't stay open till 5 like they used to. They stay open maybe at 2, 3 o'clock, and everything is expensive.
Sure.
Even if you want to buy a hamburger over there, it's expensive, and those. And the thing about people are not going, and they want to spend all the money over there. We do need to change downtown, but I don't like to see the. I wonder if the plutocrats want everything their way. I'm talking about the rich people.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. There's been a lot of development going on down there as well. And as much as going to a restaurant and getting, a $10 or $15 burger these days is just something I'm having to get used to. But they were well at that level. And I think I have an idea of some of the places you're talking about in its own right. I mean, if they're upper scale, swanky, is that still a phrase the kids use? But in any case, I mean, yeah, the idea of who is it for is an important question. I mean, most of the investment that's happening down there is not necessarily being done out of a strict sense of charity. I mean, I'm not saying that it's like, hey, I have to get my thing out of it, but these are not like, we're not talking about the building or, donating of major entities to the city. We're talking about businesses building things up with an expected rate of return here. So I'm not necessarily going to say, hey, no, you can't be making money on this, but I do get the point of like, okay, is this going to be for everyone? And frankly, I think an important part that comes along with it is by making it more maybe necessarily exclusive or inaccessible, is that going to work out for them in the long run? Or is it going to be another failed business? Because okay, people have been desperate to get out and do things, right? And as was evidence, I want to say it was the numbers for maybe not I think it was last year, the alcohol sales in El Paso. I'm not saying that got alcoholics in town, most of them, but there was $1 billion of sales of just mixed drinks, not even beer, in El Paso alone last year. So yeah, there's a lot of people wanting to go out and do things, and I'm not saying everything has to be super highbrow or lowbrow, but the idea of it making it available to everyone just makes better business sense to me in any case.
And Andrew, I was going to tell you that the buses used to play a pass stop at San Jose into Baza and pick up passengers. Since they moved them from there, a lot of stores have closed. There was a McDonald's, there was a Jack in the Box. I just bringing that up. The stupidity. This is City Hall, and I do want to see reform in how we election reform in the city of El Paso. But this is what's going on. They don't know what they're doing. That's it. Look at the stores that closed down, especially McDonald's. They closed.
Yeah,
that's one of the business. It's not there anymore.
Yeah, not a whole lot of. Okay, I don't necessarily claim to have the most exhaustive in knowledge, and I don't go to downtown that too much. But anytime I go through, I'm not thinking about a lot of down on the Paisano. That part of it is where it seems like all the fast food or drive-through joints have moved. When there used to be more around the railroad bridge, those kind of things. Yeah, in any case, it's definitely changed.
San Jacinto Plaza, Andrew.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, and the bus, I mean, it's moved adjacent to it. It's down there. Is that Mesa? No, that's not Mesa. What's the one that's right near it? But I know the area you're talking about, of course.
South Santa Fe. It's in South Santa Fe, the bus,
there you go.
terminal.
Yeah, the way they moved it just down that way. Yeah. And some of them having moved, it's not really a terminal, but down Oregon Street. There we go.
Yeah, they lost business. What's keeping that bus system going is the students from. Thank God that we have year-round school. In Socorro and Isleta and I don't know about El Paso, but during the and UTEP and committee. Well, they always have classes down there. But that's all I say is that we once had a mayor that wanted to improve the city. His name was Ray Salazar. Andrew, he challenged the electric company and the telephone company because they're raising the rates.
Sure.
And he only lasted one term, and I think the powers that be didn't want him there. The negative propaganda against him. That's why he lost. But he would have been a great mayor, and he would have been the first Hispanic mayor. He had an open door policy. You can go. You could approach him and talk to him about anything with the city. He was that much.
Okay.
He was a people's person. I liked him. I really did. Like, I voted for him twice when he got elected, and the time when he was, running for re-election. But
Sure.
I liked him as a person, and I liked him as a mayor.
No,
I
fair.
think it's the only mayor, really, one of the few mayors that I really cared for.
Well, fair enough. A bit before my time, so I'll take your word for your impressions on him certainly here. Well, do appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there.
Take care. Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, okay, bye.
All right, and with that, it's always good to go ahead and jump into that next call, or at the very least get to some comments here, like RJ saying, I used to live in the wettest dry county in Texas, Smith County, Tyler, and now hard drinking El Paso. Damn, I can't get away from the drunks, what they're noting over there. I mean, let's be honest, there's a whole lot of restaurants, and most of them have bars here in El Paso. Don't know the exact percentage, but there's a lot of them, or the way Buddy puts it. Buddy Vi is saying drunks are everywhere. And also, even like Louis Pinato adding, hello, businesses need customers. If you don't have the customer base available for it, there is not too much to be expected about it working out or not here. So let's go ahead and take that next break right now, get a little bit back on track, and get myself out of trouble when we come to getting constrained towards the end of the show. We got calls on the line. If you're on the line, stay there. If you want to get on the line with lines available, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Mazer Security Alarms in business in the borderland for more than 40 years now, providing safety, security, and peace of mind when it comes to their licensed and experienced install techs, except no substitutes, because when it comes to your home office or anywhere in between that you need to keep things, again, safe and with that peace of mind in mind for yourself, you definitely need to make sure that they have the experience and the ability to do what you need, including the new technology that they've developed, including Super Switch, to make sure that things are kept as safe and clear and false alarms eliminated as much as possible. And the trust that they have developed over those 40 years, we have them in place in our offices here for that reason. Ask them about the $690 discount, because they will offer that to you when you give them a call to get your free quote estimate or find out what they can do for you by giving them a call at 915-590-0033. That's 915-590-0033. Mazer Security Alarms.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
On the I-10 westbound at Red, an earlier accident still blocking the right lane, causing 7-minute delays from Wrestler up to Trans Mountain. 54 Patriot northbound at Sun Valley Drive, a crash involving a couple of vehicles blocking the right lane. I-10 eastbound at Chelsea, a minor crash there. All lanes are open. And I-10 eastbound is slow. Vincent down to Artcraft. It is a 15-minute delay. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and I sell custom blinds designed for do-it-yourselfers. Unlike stock blinds offered at big box retailers, Blindster blinds are custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
Let's face it, talking about life insurance is never easy. But after we watched a close friend lose her husband with no insurance, we decided that wasn't going to happen to our family.
Yeah, but shopping for life insurance can be almost as difficult as talking about it.
But then we heard about Ethos Life Insurance. They're a new kind of life insurance, built for people on a busy schedule who don't have time for unnecessary doctor's visits, fine print, or hidden fees. You know, who want to keep it simple.
I couldn't believe how easy it was. We answered a few basic questions, and within minutes, we had an estimate of what it would cost and what sort of policy made sense for us.
I never imagined a life insurance could be so affordable.
And accessible.
The peace of mind knowing that our future is secure, it just removes a lot of the fear around getting older. And
yeah, the unexpected.
I'm glad we talked about it.
I'm glad we went with ethoslife.com.
Go to getethos.com now for your free estimate. That's getethos.com. Getethos.com.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need presentations and business reports printed, and they have to be perfect.
I need beautifully bound booklets for my business.
Your presentations and booklets will be in captivating color, beautifully bound, and will be done right every time. That's our Print Big promise. And right now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing on orders of $40 or more. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Children who grow up in poverty are part of a destructive cycle. At Child Fund International, we find this unacceptable. In 25 countries, we are vigorously fighting poverty and improving the lives of children and their families. Learn more at childfund.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the program, particularly at this point, both during the show and the week, because it is Free for All Friday, and we're in the second hour anyway. We usually have those phone lines open. They are right now, if full up at the moment. So again, keep that number handy, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. If you want to, again, one call ends, another line becomes available, etc., etc. If you want to add your 2 cents that way, as we're well on our way into the second hour of the program today and keeping it going. So a lot of other commentary coming in and a lot of back and forth on, again, presidents, former presidents, their merits and or detriments. Again, if you want to wade into that over on the social media, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, more or less the main one here. But let's dive right back into those phone lines right now. We do have Steve, truck driver, coming through our air right now on the line with us. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on. I was passing through El Paso, a fine city, absolutely beautiful El Paso is. And as I'm passing through El Paso, I heard the previous caller.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to say is, why should we sit there and guilt and blame, the hard workers of America, the business producers, people who take a risk, investing money? Surely they're not making their money without risk. They create jobs. You want to be rich? Get up. You want to be rich? Work hard. You want to be rich? Take your money and invest it in something. Put your money at risk. They're putting their money at risk. Win or lose, succeed or fail. God knows, if you look at the percentage, the statistics of startup businesses, many of them don't make it past the first year, the startups. So things are not the way he used to remember anymore, sir. And, the rich and, guilting the rich and blaming the rich. Enough, sir. We need to get up. We need to work hard and we need to become rich ourselves, instead of sitting around waiting for a handout. And a lot of people do that. And God knows that many other people, when they don't get their handouts, they start guilting America. They start blaming America. And when they still don't get their freebies, using guilt and blame, they'll step it up a notch. Riot, loot, set America on fire. And now that they have us all good and scared, surely we're going to give them what they want.
We'll say that, working towards your own goals here. One phrase that I think about a lot is that, not quite in the sense you're talking about, God helps those who help themselves. And if you want to see something happen, we do create our reality around ourselves. So not saying that holding those in power accountable is necessarily a bad thing, but certainly that working towards your own goals and make sure you're doing your level best to achieve them is the only way I know how to go through life.
Yes, sir. And my grandfather once told me, I must have been about 8-9 years old when he told me. I went up to him and I said, Grandpa, what's a parliamentician? He says, no, boy, it's not a parliamentician. It's a politician. I'll tell you, but don't tell your mother. A politician is a professional liar. A politician is a professional bullshitter. Don't tell your mom I told you that.
Well, I do appreciate the enthusiasm of the call there. There are unfortunately a couple things we can't do on the radio. So I do appreciate the point in the call. And again, the enthusiasm, just certain things we can't say. And when those two things happen, we have to end the call there. So appreciate it and the perspective there. Otherwise, not saying I disagree with you on the perspective on politicians, just certain things that, well, they're not the politicians. The FCC don't let us say. In any case, I think we got time for another call on the line. I do appreciate the point in the call. Just, yep, those are some 7 deadly words. Go ahead and look those up, and you'll find the list of things that you can't say that on the radio. And for anyone wondering, yes, that does end up going through to our stream, of which, at the very least at the moment, the FCC doesn't care that much about. It's on the social media. So may have got it there, but does not go through on air. So anyone looking confused, don't worry about it. So do have more calls on the line here. And of course, the line's available. We do have Stephen on the east side here with us right now. So Stephen on the east side, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey there. What's on your mind?
So yeah, I think it's great that people have enthusiasm, but yeah, I was not seeing that coming, and you got to watch out for that. So yeah, watch what you say on the radio.
Absolutely. We'll agree with that here. So again, to make it clear, that was Steve calling in, and you are now Steven. So there's no hard feelings or anything there.
Yeah, it wasn't me, I swear. So
better not swear.
As people are paying attention to the national news, one of the things they should pay attention to do is the sentencing of different people depending on your political beliefs. So recently somebody got sentenced. He was in these Black Lives Matter riots. He lit a building on fire, and there was someone inside. That person was killed by the fire that this person lit. So the arson killed somebody. And that person was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So when you're looking at the different sentences that people get, remember that guy who lit a fire that killed somebody got 10 years. So compare that to other types of sentencing, and then you can kind of see what I've been talking about. The other thing I wanted to bring up, since it got brought up earlier in the show, is the mask situation. I don't know if you caught this, but there was a big study that came out. I think it was last month. It was the largest, most robust study on masks. And it basically said that mask mandates don't work. And so the host on CNN over there had Fauci on, and he asked him about it. And then Fauci basically admitted, okay, well, maybe man work, but possibly the mask can work at an individual level, is what Fauci said. So just keep that in mind. What Texas did about mask mandates doesn't mean that you can't wear it on the individual level.
Sure.
The science basically says that mask mandates don't work. So that's why a lot of states aren't going to do it. Maybe some will, but that's the deal on that.
I mean, it's okay. There's a significant overlap, at least in the way this theory is applied. About the general concept here is public safety, right? And that was the reason that these things were being put forth and being done with. And also, kind of a corollary to that is the appearance of doing something when it's not quite sure what can be done. Because, I mean, what often people, criticize other elected officials or government about is, why aren't you doing anything about this? And so the one that is very similar to this outside of, and this usually isn't politicized, which is why I like it as an example, is that of bicycle safety laws, specifically bike helmets. I do believe El Paso, along with many, many, many other municipalities, it's certainly not unique here, end up having, bike helmet laws, particularly for youth. I want to say the last time I reviewed it in our area, that if you're under 18, you have to wear a bike helmet. If you're over 18, it's kind of it's recommended, if not required, but don't quote me on that exactly, but that's the last I haven't cared much about it. Not that I ride a bicycle that often. It's not my preferred form of recreation in any case. But point is that when it comes to that, I'm not saying that bike helmets are a bad thing or that they don't have their purpose. They certainly do. But the problem, and the way it ends up being implemented, and the problem in this is that it then stops there. There's a problem. We have issues with bicycle safety. People either getting, hit, injured, God forbid, killed. And so what do we do to improve safety? Well, we're going to require bike helmets. This is the kind of the way the theory both involves, and you can see in place, and again, many places, again, most municipalities, I do feel like, I don't have exact stats in front of me, but that's been some of the review I've looked at previously, and that's how they go about it. How are we going to solve this issue? Bike helmets. Except then it comes to, all right, well, we address the issue, problem solved. When it then comes down to it, that there are many more effective ways to then end up mitigating these risks whenever it comes to, public safety awareness campaigns, better training both for drivers and for bicyclists. I mean, you can't really mandate it, particularly at the local level, but making it available, offering safety courses, doing things like actually implementing bike lanes. We sort of have some here in El Paso. A lot of them end up being disconnected, and I know there's a lot of people very focused and wanting to deal with that. But of the way that they are constructed, making it so that cars and vehicles don't really have that kind of conflict of space of having to jockey for the same positions, and in those cases, it's usually the car that wins. But those are all the issues that can then get glossed over when you say, all right, bicycle safety is a concern, helmets, we're good to go. And this is a very same kind of, maybe not exactly the same mentality, but thought process that then comes into place, particularly when we were in, the midst of it. But 2020 and 2021, there was almost a desperation, both in terms of individuals and organizations, governments, et cetera, to do something. So what can we do? And so the idea of, okay, well, we're going to mandate masks. Okay, are we talking about the, quality kind? Are we talking about the kind that is going to be having, documented rates of being able to mitigate things? No, we're just going to masks. So we've done something, we'll do masks. And so if we're talking about, the people not wearing them properly, if they are the correct quality or not, and I'm aware that there were companies out there promoting and providing quote unquote masks, massive air quotes on that may have been just like mesh. So there was a lot of a lot of disparate ways that this was being handled and being put forth. But if it end up being set there and that being all that was done, it ends up being we've done something, right? And so if it stops there, effectiveness almost is a moot point and not part of the way the action is even being considered, is what it comes down to.
And the final thing I wanted to call about is, of course, the story of this mayor in New York City who apparently maybe he's turned into a right-wing bigot racist or something, because he doesn't think that it's a net benefit for all these migrants to be in the city, and he says it's going to destroy the city. I thought I was educated earlier this year about how migrants are a net boon for a city and bring in all this money, and it's great. And I mean, Eric, what's his name? Or Adams. I think Mayor Adams.
Sure.
He should be happy, I guess, that all these migrants are coming, because they're going to be rich now because all these people here. By the way, I've learned that this $2,200 check thing is per family. So if you got a family of 4, you've got a mom and a kid and a dad and a kid. If those two just split up and then go in separately, then they each get a $2,200 check. So that's $4,400 for a family of 4. Not bad. And of course, they're being trained on what to say when they come in and what to do, and say, "Oh, I can't go back to my country because I'm going to get killed and I'm going to claim asylum." And they get trained on what to say. But they can also get trained on doing this little deal where they get some extra cash. So that's interesting too.
Yeah, again, the response from New York, he has apparently, Eric Adams, you're right, that is his name, the mayor of New York, has apparently walked that back a bit, saying that some of the national news articles I was looking at it on this case, don't have the exact one in front of me, basically saying, no, we're not actually going to be destroyed by this. So kind of walked back because the quote he said that was pretty shocking, and it was referenced by our news partners at KFOX 14, saying this Tuesday night. Quote, "Let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Emphasis in repeating upon him, addressing the influx of migrants arriving and being bused to New York, among other things, other bust or, coming there on their own. So he did walk it back a bit. And our news partners at KFOX 14, in their article, New York mayor warns of city's destruction due to continuous migrant arrivals. Commissioner David Stout responds, does include that response on it as well. Saying, among other things, the chartering that El Paso, both in the city, you just talked about the county's part of it, addressing that aspect of it, about how they coordinate directly with NGOs. I'm just going to say, particularly when it comes to Mayor Adams, some of his numbers, at the very least to me, not being privy to the entire amount he's talking about, don't seem to add up, because they were talking about like a tens of billions of dollars deficit that just the city budget is looking at, which is pretty intense in its own right. Don't get me wrong, but that would be more than like the cost in the average prison at there. Like, I'm not talking about Rikers, that the cost of housing them and providing all of the services that a jail does every day for a year would be way more than that. So I'm wondering if he's blaming some of the problems that are just having there already on this particular situation. So it's definitely become a part of the national conversation. You're certainly right there.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to walk it back, I think they could probably take another 100,000 migrants then. I mean, if that's not a problem, then they can just continue doing that. And, I think one of the ways that you can cure leftists of their leftism is just make them live by the rules that they're trying to impose on other people. And they end up waking up pretty quickly. So have a good weekend.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. You have a good one there as well. All right, and with that, we will take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we got a lot more to talk about, a lot more going on, a lot more calls on the line there as well. And, of course, now a line available because that's how calls work. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Let me say call one more time. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. Ruli's International Kitchen, one of my go-to places whenever the question comes up, what's for lunch? Because the ability to do so and get some great regional flavors with the international infusions that go into them here. They have some of those features, including, I think I might have missed out on them, the brisket tostadas that they've been talking about most recently. They've always got new features at the front door. That blackboard has quite a lot of information that is very crucial right as you walk into it. But there's a whole lot more. They've been doing that menu revamp and even have some of the things daily happy hour specials that if you're listening to the show and being there, just don't bother the people next to you. But also they've got things like their chef's dinners that they have on the calendar. So all of those details, everything, best place to find this over either on their social media or, of course, their website, rulisik.com. That's rulisik.com. Or give them a call to make your reservation for the everyday occasion or special celebrations in your life, 915-313-4806. That's 915-313-4806, or just find them right on the street as they are located at 4176 North Mesa, not too far from Mesa and Executive, and not in that part that's going to be seeing that reconstruction being done very crucially. But again, all the details online, rulisik.com for Ruli's International Kitchen. That's rulisik.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olguin with your KFOX 14 News Update. The mayor of New York issued a new warning to New York residents regarding the ongoing migrant crisis. In a news conference this week, Mayor Eric Adams warned New Yorkers that the issue will, quote, destroy New York City. Adams says New York could face a $12 billion deficit due to the 110,000 migrants that have arrived in New York from border states like Texas. El Paso County Commissioner David Stout said that the mayor's choice of words was reprehensible and says that it's a mistake to villainize the asylum seekers who are seeking a better life. One person was seriously injured in a crash on I-10 this morning. It happened at 5:30 near Vinton. According to the sheriff's office, one person was severely injured and taken to a local hospital. And in East El Paso, several mailboxes were broken into and vandalized. It happened in the 1400 block of Sal Rey Way behind the Plaza Misiones on Zaragoza Boulevard on Thursday. There was a poster on the mailboxes from the Postal Service directing citizens to pick up their mail elsewhere. This has been your KFOX 14 News Update. I'm Robert Olguin.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Earlier collision on I-10 westbound at red is still got the right lane blocked. Slowing on the I-10 westbound starts after Sunland Park up to Trans Mountain with a 7-minute delay. Earlier crash on the 54 Patriot northbound at Sun Valley Drive is cleared. All lanes are open there. And Global Reach southbound is still slow. 5-minute delays approaching Montana. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is forecaster Nasai Mancini. Well, folks, in for a little bit of a warm weekend here in the borderland. Temperatures still going to be in those triple digits. We'll cool off, though, as we make our way into the early part of next week. Also see some rain chances returning Monday, all the way looking like through Friday. So break out those umbrellas, looking like we're having a little bit of a cool down and some relief. Now, folks, still will be in that heat advisory all the way until 8 p.m. Friday night. Head on over to kfoxtv.com for the latest forecast.
This report is sponsored by Brake Masters.
The road is a formidable foe. Cars, trucks, buses, bicyclists are all a part of your daily drive. That's where Brake Masters comes in. Get your vehicle in Brake Masters shape today. Download coupons and schedule an appointment from your smartphone.
Brake!
Master. We give you an honest break.
Protection for all, peace of mind for you. For over 40 years, Mazer Security Alarms has proudly served El Paso with superior service and superior protection. You can afford the best. For your free quote or to upgrade your existing system, call Mazer Security Alarms at 915-590-0033.
You know when you wake up and your mouth feels gross and you just can't wait to brush your teeth to get that clean, fresh feeling again? That's exactly how millions of Navage users feel when they use powered suction to rinse out their noses every day, just like brushing their teeth. Once you're able to breathe deeply without congestion, you never want to be without it. That's why so many people rave about Navage, with over 100,000 online reviews. Feel the Navage difference for yourself. In less than a minute a day, you'll feel immediate relief from seasonal allergies and congestion after the very first use. Navage will also help you sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier, naturally, without drugs. Start breathing clearly again with Navage. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, Target, CVS, Rite Aid, and online at Navage.com. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds? At Blindster, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. A lot of people tuning in, chiming in, adding their 2 cents, dropping those likes and reacts that we certainly do appreciate, because it helps us with all those algorithmic things. If you like the ability to talk about these things, regardless of if it's a good thing in your mind or not, the topics, that is, the ability to do so. If you like that, drop that like, react, share, anything that works out for you. Tell a friend about what we're trying to do here, to have live local talk radio, and of course the things going on here in El Paso. And of course, Talk El Paso brought to you in part by Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Find them at 950 Crockett Street, right across I-10 from Sunland Park Mall. They have got, among other things, their fall kickoff sales event. Yes, kickoff as in the football, but they got a lot of better deals there as well. You can get up to 10% off MSRP on some models, or $1,000 and thousands of dollars in cash back. Again, find them 950 Crockett Street, Sunland Park, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. And again, those dropping those likes and reacts that we do appreciate, including, get the full list up here. Come on, give me the list. Technology sometimes, isn't it wonderful? In any case, we do appreciate those, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Susan needed to cooperate. There we go. Rick Reyes, Ronaldo Rivera, Buddy Valles, James Radcliffe, Marky Mandingo, Eric Von Holstein Rathlow, James Holmes, Ida Beza Gardner, Richard Janicek, RJ, Robbie Flores, and Monica Cervantes. Certainly do appreciate it. And that's just over on the Facebook, right? Because of the other ways, there's a lot of ways to interact with us here. So on that note, let's dive right back into the phone lines here, squeezing what we can before the end of the program. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM, the number to call to squeeze in before the end of the program. We do have Rich calling in from Socorro right now with us on the line. Rich, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Andrew, for having me on your program.
Yeah, sure thing. What's on your mind?
I just want to make a little rebuttal here to one of your callers,
sure.
The mega caller, Raul. And I'm going to call my little sweep on this, I'm going to call it Raul the Fool. And I think to Raul the Fool, what do you think about paying $2 for a loaf of bread, Raul? Raul the Fool, how about paying $2 for the cheapest can of soup you can get, Raul? Raul the Fool, is it okay for me to pay $4 a gallon of gas? Raul the Fool, I got to feed my kids. I got $3.15 for a gallon of milk. Raul the Fool, forget me even trying to buy bacon. Raul the Fool, it's making it really hard for me to make a living. You know, we need to start talking about the real issues instead of bashing Trump. We need to start talking about the things that really affect people like me that were on a budget. and it's hard for us to make ends meet. And I think this is what everybody's missing out here. This guy calls in and does all this stuff, and I don't know if you heard, but I heard that Biden's thinking about closing the oil plants or rigs in Alaska. Could you imagine what that's going to do to our economy? If it's bad right now, and of course the Saudis and the Russians, they're all cutting back on their oil to us, and he doesn't want to pump our oil, it's really going to put us in a real grind. And we're just barely making it. So have a little compassion for the Americans down here that are suffering. And that's on that one level. There's another thing that I do want to say here, and it's just for fun, okay?
Okay.
I love your program, but this goes out to Frankie. Frankie calls in, that's all I got to say, and then I run out of the box. But I want to thank Frankie because he taught me a new word here a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. Maybe more than that. But it describes exactly what Joe Biden is. And he used the word dutar. And I think you looked it up. And I think that exactly describes what Biden is. And Frankie, be careful because you might fall into that category. And at that, I'll leave it, Andrew, and I'll say, that's all I got to say. Thank you so much. Love you. Love your program, sir.
Well, sure thing. Well, thank you for the call and for calling in and your point there. You have a good one as well.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. With that, this was not planned, much as it may seem like it. We do have Frankie and Messia on the line with us here right now. So, Frankie, thanks for joining us.
All right. Right out of the box. This is too funny. You had a caller earlier that resurrected a walk down a memory lane for me, specific to dry counties in Texas. Now, I know about booze and beer, so I think I'm pretty qualified to address this. Now, when I was in the Army many years ago, I was assigned to Fort Hood, part of Bell County, Coryell, both dry counties. And you just no way in the world. There was no bar. If you did find a place, you had to become a member to get a drink at, say, like a little motel, hotel thing. And the only place you could get booze, packaged stuff, was in Lampasas County, the county over from Coryell, right? So for the most part, you go to all the churches in Bell and Coryell County and had all these holy roly rabble-raiser God Jesus freak types preaching against the sins of this and the sins of that and booze and all that stuff. And guess what? Come Saturday, Sunday, or whatever day of the week, you go down to Lampasas, and who did you see at the package store? The same morons that keep preaching against the stuff of bozos. Anyway, that's when I was in Fort Hood. The Great Tree Corps, Phantom Warriors and stuff. Now, let me say this. There's some great news going on. It's just so much to talk about, so little time.
Sure.
But one piece of great news I heard was that this guy, Mark Meadows, the previous chief of staff for the Donnie Dotard, by the way, Eric, Donnie Dotard, not Biden. Anyway, hit this judge, knocked him out of the box. He's not going to move his charges from state to federal, so he's out of luck on that. And Fannie Willis just pushed up another 15 people, unindicted co-conspirators, and stuff. So this is a wonderful thing going on. I'm so happy. I think I'm going to open up another can of beer because this is a wet county here in Doña Ana. So I'm having you poor folks over there in the dry counties in Texas, eat your hearts out. So that's my opening comment.
Sure, pour one out for them if you feel so inclined. I had some relatives back in the day before I was ever drinking or involved in it. And the difference is there's even bigger differences across state lines, of course, because there's 3.2 beer that exists some places, and so people will. I'm not recommending this, but of buying at least one local package of beer and then buying the quote unquote good stuff across state lines and making sure they have it available. I'm aware of a lot of chicanery that happens around state liquor laws and, lines of municipality and jurisdiction that come along with that. So I can't say I'm surprised about it in that Fort Hood situation.
Like I said again, it's basically nothing but sheer hypocrisy. You go out there, I'm talking to religious leaders and all the teetotalers and stuff like that, going out and tell everybody else how to live their life. And they turn around and do exactly what they're telling you not to do. just drives me up the wall, Andrew. I mean, it just blows my mind. 14 different ways of Sunday. So I mean, really, under the circumstances, the follow-up question. This whole thing going on with Fannie Will, all the indictment stuff, the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
Really, there is something going on out there. Heavyweights under the radar, pushing this to make sure that this happens. That these people are going to be held accountable. Now, you can argue 14 different ways of Sunday, this kind of move, this motion, this, that, and everything else, and so forth and so on. But I understand. I almost firmly believe that what's going on, there's forces out there, logical, intelligence, honest forces that realize the threat of what's happening with these nut jobs that support Trump. And they are going to do under the radar, if you will, right? That are going to force this issue to make it go away so this never, ever, or nothing ever like it would hopefully not ever happen again. I honestly believe that. And that's kind of my ending comment.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we'll see how it ends up working out. Well, of course, national coverage will continue on these, as I'm sure I know there's questions about. There'll be cameras in the courtroom in Georgia, among other things, and will continue to be major national stories here. So we'll see how these turn out. And I'll just say on that, I know there's been ideas of it being just dismissed and getting rid of it. At this point, I mean, the issues are too important, too central, and too significant to have anything besides, again, I would say at this point, a complete resolution within the courts involved here, whatever that end up being here. So do appreciate the point in the call. Have a good one there as well.
Okay, Andrew, have a good one.
All right, with that, I think we got time for one more quick call on the line here, or call in any case here. We do have Kevin on the east side here with us right now. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew. What I have to say is I'm a bit taken back by being called a maggot. And by one of the callers, I don't want to dignify him by, using his name.
Sure.
A maggot, a Republican, or a maggot Trump supporter, or a maggot whatever. All right. Sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but names will never harm me. But I just want him to know, and people like him, who this maggot is. And this maggot served 3 years in Vietnam. 2 Bronze Star medals. After that, came out of the Army, retired as a sergeant major, taught in an all-girls Catholic school here in El Paso, was a Eucharistic minister in the church of that school. And to be called a maggot, if this is what they do to people like me, there is no way that they will ever convince me to support their political party, their philosophy, because it's inhuman, excuse me. And Andrew, that's all I got to say.
Fair enough here. Well, do appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one there as well.
You too, sir. Thank you.
With that, we do have to take that last break. Let me just add one note before we take that break right now, is that there's a lot of schadenfreude that happens with politics these days of, oh man, that's bad for them, or we're owning the other side, or any of that kind of stuff that ends up coming out here. And I'm not saying that when I find my people that I am opposed to politically having a lack of luck that I don't maybe enjoy it in a small matter. But the idea of, man, they're failing because of any reason besides the ballot box ends up being fruitless at the very least. And that's what it comes down to for me, is that you're trying to insult someone based on their political leanings or their political beliefs or ideas. I mean, that's all it is. It's just insulting, and it may sound good to you. I mean, oh gosh, a well-crafted and well put together swear can feel great. It's cathartic as hell. Do not get me wrong. But that's all that it is. It's only a catharsis, and a fleeting one at that, I do have to say. That's all it is. You're not doing discourse. You're not communicating with someone else why they should maybe consider the ideals that you're putting forth as being superior to their own. It's not the marketplace of ideals by any damn measure. It's just you, the primal yup, chest beating and saying, yeah, you suck, or anything along those lines. And I mean, if you want to go about that, I'm not going to stop you. I'm a radio show host, not a cop, and definitely not the word police. But don't kid yourself in thinking that, and that's going to change things. We're changing the world by insulting people. It's not it didn't work out for most stand-up comics. I mean, they may make a living out of it, but that's about it. So if you really want to see anything change, build consensus, heaven forbid, or anything like that, talking about the ideas, the concepts, the issues that we try our level best, with at least the ones I bring up, is about the only way that I have found even to reasonably begin to approach that. And we don't have an expectation that anyone's going to change their minds, fall in line, follow the dogma of this program, because all we ever put forth on that is, let's talk about it. And that's what we'll continue to do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. In that note, we're going to go ahead and take that last break right now. Coming out of this break, tell a little bit about what we got coming up for you, both this weekend and in the week to come. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
An earlier crash on I-10 westbound at Red is finally cleared. All lanes are back open. Still some slowing 9-minute delays from Mesa up to Trans Mountain. I-10 westbound at the Patriot, the left interchange ramp is blocked due to heavy traffic. And on the 10 eastbound Vinton down to Red, it is a 9-minute delay. Traffic continues to be reduced to 1 lane for road construction there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
That's Hammer AM.
El Paso area businesses, you're invited to join Texas Mutual Insurance Company for the free WorkSafe Texas Summit on Tuesday, September 19th at the Hotel Paso del Norte. Get information on workplace safety, OSHA, and more. Register at texasmutual.com/summit.
Philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today for good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-393-1881. 800-393-1881. 800-393-1881.
Did you know that only 2 in 10 El Paso County students graduate with a bachelor's degree? By supporting Border Youth Athletic Association's mission of educational attainment, you will create a long-lasting impact in our students' lives. Your monthly donation enables 4th through 12th grade students access to after-school programs, providing a safe and healthy environment. BYAA engages and empowers El Paso's future through mentorship and leadership development. We believe every player who gets an education wins. Do you? Go to borderyouth.org and show your support for our youth today.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you also very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. We've covered quite a lot of ground today, this week, and probably be next week as well. A couple of notes there for you. Of course, coming up tomorrow, 10 to noon here on News Radio 690 KTSM, the El Paso History Radio Show, talking this week with the Tom Lee Institute about Tom Lee celebration. No longer just a month, but a whole span going on through the early part of next year even, and the particularly the Tom Lee Trail that is both the feature and focus of this year's event. So all those details and the many things coming up that you can be participating in the app, you'll be able to download as well. That tomorrow on the El Paso History Radio Show. But also some of the things we're working on for you in the coming weeks. Yeah, a lot more politics, as is unsurprising. We haven't talked about it too much, but probably at least one update coming from some of the major things that have come out so far of the impeachment trial for embattled Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, along with many other things. A lot of stuff going on in our area, and we'll keep that focus as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. So until then, until next time, until next week, I want you all to stay safe out there, look twice for motorcycles when out on the road, and have a great evening and a great weekend, y'all. We'll see you next time.